Recently, many rumors are alleging that Harry is wanting to resume his relationship with the royal family, but he's being blocked by Meghan. Meghan might not agree to go to the UK with her children in May, and we're going to update and analyze specifically her final statements in this video. So, supposedly, Prince Harry is going to grace the UK with his presence next month to celebrate a decade of the Invictus Games. It's going to happen in May, I guess, and it would be very improbable that Harry would head over with the children without Meghan. And Meghan Markle, holds the power when it comes to any potential return to the UK. So, in spite of Harry's supposed desire to heal the family rift, royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam insists that Meghan's preferences are going to dominate their decision-making process. If Meghan doesn't want to come, then she can never be forced to. But we know for sure that Meghan does not have a say in this half-in, half-out plan. She can keep on trying all she wants, but I do hope that none of them spring any surprise visits on William or Charles. The last thing any member of that family needs is to interact with those sketchy characters. And what is this? Quote, Meghan Markle holds the reins when it comes to any potential return to the UK, with insiders claiming she could never be forced and will have the final say over Prince Harry's decisions. So I guess that means that Harry just has to do whatever Meghan decides. This is not an equal partnership. I mean, it's absurd. Another thing is, where does anybody get this notion that Harry has any desire to heal the family divide? I mean, the family divide, last time I checked, is his own fault. And even if he could, his very pathetic choice of a wife wouldn't allow it. She simply can't bear the shame of her failure with William. Just imagine pulling moves on your own brother-in-law only to be knocked down, turned down, and put in your place. I guess it never occurred to Meghan Markle that William was not interested in her. And up until this point, Meghan's children are still invisible. The truth about them is still unknown. So the kids may have no connection to the UK whatsoever. The information I know is that Archie was hardly even 1 year old when they were kicked out, and Elizabeth was born in the US. As a family, they don't have any home, they don't have any friends, they don't have any family in the UK. And I sure hope that never changes. The fact is, they weren't even necessarily kicked out. I think they were given the choice to leave instead of face prosecution for fraud, embezzlement, child trafficking, and treason. We're never going to know exactly what happened. Or perhaps they just left because Meghan wanted to, because she realized that as long as she was a member of the royal family, she was never going to be the #1 star. But she certainly has controlled Harry from the very beginning. I think they have one of those. Look, I know some people do it and it's consensual, but I think their Dom-sub relationship is quite sick. Very disturbing, actually. I don't know that Harry can even make a choice in this relationship anymore. I think Meghan Markle just dominates him. And I think the Queen suggested that because it was her second marriage, she shouldn't wear white, and she also should not have worn a veil to that wedding, but Meghan did both, because Meghan does whatever she wants to do. I'm just glad, though, that her demands to live in Windsor Castle were not accepted. And then she had the nerve to get all angry because William and Catherine had a bigger house, even though they already had 3 kids, and William is the heir. She also wanted to be a princess in her own right, but that's never going to happen. So she forced Harry to leave the royal family and follow her to California. She convinced him that there they could be stars, and obviously that didn't happen either. Honestly, though, who in the royal family is going to be hurt if Harry shows up with those kids or not? The only people who are hurt by having these kids away from the UK are those kids. Sooner or later, the Carparkles are going to want to use those kids as a wedge for royal connection, whether they play their Charles's grandson's card or their William's nephews, but it's not going to work. And that's something apparently they don't see. Charles isn't trying to reach out to the kids, none of them, and William doesn't even have any interest in having them in the same place. Meghan doesn't seem to understand, though, that she killed any chance of ever using those children. So because Harry and Meghan are so stupid, it looks like the Sussex children are also out of the royal family. Honestly, though, the royals shouldn't feel bad. They should feel relieved. They have no duty towards those kids. And Harry and Meghan are just upset that their children are out of everything, and they're all concerned because the further away they are, the less inheritance they're going to get, and the fewer rights they will be able to demand. Harry and Meghan cannot stand it when no one, beginning with Charles himself, doesn't make the slightest mention of those children. Maybe the kids are her last pawns that she's going to use. In the future, they're going to be able to read all this BS, though. They'll be able to know about the lies and the deceit. And it makes me wonder what was it Harry called it, genetic pain they have inflicted upon those kids. As a family, they can come and go. Not many people really care either way. Because once they are seen, the truth is, people aren't going to be so interested in them anymore. So if they return, you know Meghan's going to do anything she can to make sure the children find out that she and they are victims. And when they get older, I think they're going to understand what their evil mother is really like. Just imagine, though, if she really is a mother or pretends to be their mother, how cruel she is to those kids. See, Meghan Markle always has to be the star. I'm sure she's always trying to put them down. Then, when the kids grow up and remember how they were treated, they're going to hate the two of them. Or if they find out the story of everything their parents did in the past with their family and with the people of the UK, I think they would be incredibly disappointed. All right, so in another development, if what Meghan is worried about is that those kids are going to be attacked like the Sussex squad attacked Louis, then maybe she should have stood up for that poor boy when the squad treated him as mentally deficient. It was so messed up. But she didn't do that. She even joined in on the criticism. She said that her son was taught that manners make them man. Manners, manners, manners. So she should be worried about what happens if she exposes her kids. That's because she has encouraged and she has engaged in some really disgusting behavior against the Wales children. And I see them trying to use emotional blackmail on the king and the royal family, but it's not working. It just shows how desperate they are because they're running out of money, and so they're trying to use the kids to make some money. And I do wonder if Harry even realizes that he is in an abusive situation. Honestly, if they were in the UK, Meghan Markle could absolutely be charged with abuse. She seems to believe that she's just so far superior to everybody else. And if it were not for Harry's family, she would be just plain old Meghan Markle, failed actress. I am curious just how much more King Charles is going to put up with before he pulls the plug on her. What a dilemma Meghan is facing. She's desperate for the publicity, but she's so thin skinned and she knows that she is going to be trashed. If Meghan doesn't realize everything now, well, I think she never will. I believe Meghan Markle just refuses to accept how horrible she has treated the royal family over the past few years. And I mean, she should be living on a desert island. I'm also really seeing the problem with Invictus Games. Meghan has completely taken over and she's just pushed Harry to the background. Whoever the organizers of the games are should either inform Harry that he's not welcome and she isn't either, or they need to denounce him as a patron. And I don't believe he gives them any financial support either. Meghan Markle just spends most of whatever donation money they get. At the end of the day, though, who really cares about Meghan trying to use her kids as bargaining chips or special features in their circus show? Shame on her. You know, those two should just stay in Montecito with their invisible children and do everybody a favor. Or maybe Meghan is worried that he won't bring the imaginary children back to California, especially after they're submitted for DNA testing. Now, if the children are Harry's biologically speaking, then King Charles could probably take custody of them. It would be an absolute mess, but legally he is the one who determines custody of his grandchildren. Realistically, though, why should he even bother with it? Those children are probably not even really the children of Harry and Meghan. They're probably not even technically the King's grandchildren. But see, I don't believe Meghan Markle is going to come back to the UK, partly because of the promise that she made, but the biggest reason is she doesn't want to have to face the British public after everything she has done, after all the lies that she told over the past 5 years. I mean, really longer than that. And they are both parents. So if she doesn't want to come, then in my opinion, Harry also has the right to take them to see his family. It doesn't matter what Meghan has to say about it. Why let Meghan dominate Harry like that? He is her puppet. He has no say whatsoever in this relationship. There is ample evidence out there to prove that what I'm saying is true. I don't think Meghan is going to let them come. I mean, this is the woman who didn't even want her own husband to go to his own father's coronation, remember? And apparently Harry begged and pleaded for Archofficial to get to go too, and she said no. Why? Because I guess she's paranoid the royal family is going to keep them. Perhaps perform some DNA tests and find out that Meghan Markle is not the biological mother. Megan should have realized, though, that usually if you tell a bunch of lies, you are going to end up living your life in fear. You're going to worry that those lies are going to come back to haunt you. Well, Megan, it looks like it's time. This is the main content of today's news. How do you feel about Meghan having the final say? Where does Harry's position lie? And do their children deserve to be raised in the UK when they grow up? That is what I want to know from you, so please leave a comment below and then support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much, and I'll be back to see you again in other videos on Kate Middleton and the Queen YouTube channel.